Before we go to the roll call, would you like?
We've been in Highland Beach and
And we're not sure you talk into the.
Oh, talking to the microphone, okay. I guess it's on now. So we've been here about 7 years. We live in the townhouses of Highland Beach, which is a condo on the north part of Highland Beach on the ocean side. And I'm a retired attorney. Did commercial work and general law, real estate and whatnot. And fortunately, I'm retired, so I can start to enjoy life here. Okay. So no, I've always been interested in the environment and protecting the environment. We have a beautiful planet. It's an amazing place, and Highland Beach is a beautiful place. So and the beaches, of course, are the highlight, and the beaches are poorly maintained, in my opinion. So I like to clean the beach, so I walk on the beach, and I don't think I'm the only one. I've seen a few other people out there, but we could use help. And I appreciate the opportunity to work to make things a little better. I have some ideas, which I'm happy to share when the time is appropriate.
Thank you so much, David. Welcome to our team.
Thank you.
And then we have Karen Jones.
And I think everybody kind of knows me now. I was here the last time. So my name is Karen Jones. I live in Highland Beach for 28 years now. It's a little found gem. I'm retired. Unfortunately, I retired when my husband got ill 5 years ago. So I have time on my hands, and I'm, into the community, into the beach, into nature, want it to be the best beach around. And I believe, as he says, yes, sometimes it's very poorly maintained unless it's maintained by the residents. So I have a lot of great ideas too, and I'm excited to be here and be part of this great team.
Thank you so much. Well, very welcome, both of you. Thank you so much. So that goes to agenda item 2, roll call. Mrs. DeHart, please call the roll.
Member Vegas. Member Vegas. Member Schreiber. Member Bloomberg.
Here.
Member Jones.
Here.
Member Newman.
Here.
Vice Chairperson Davison.
Here.
Chairperson Nestle.
Here.
Thank you.
So 3 pledge of allegiance, all rise for the pledge of allegiance, please.
Into the republic which stands one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. For approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented? Thank you. Is there a second? Yep. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Any opposed say no. Okay. So we move to public comments. Public comments are now open. Each speaker will be allowed 3 minutes to speak. Are there any public comments? I don't see anybody here from the public. So I think we can move to presentations, unless any member has a public comment to make.
I had a question. Have the new members seen the presentation that was made this summer by the dune experts who surveyed our beaches last year? Have they
Seen
seen
the report?
the report? And there's also a YouTube presentation that we saw that was excellent.
Yeah, well, I think we'll come to that later in the agenda when we speak about dunes restoration.
Yeah,
So
we
we'll talk
can.
about
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
okay, thank you.
perfect. Thank you so much. Any other public remarks as residents, nature lovers? Nothing?
Oh,
would be during the board member update.
Okay. Okay. Great. Okay. So you can mention it then. Okay, great. Thank you so much. So then we would come to agenda item 6, presentations, town planner updates. I refer this item to town planner. Alan, please. Thank you.
Hi, good morning and welcome to the new board members. Just wanted to follow up on a few items from your last meeting, which was on May 1st of 2024. I had mentioned to you all at that meeting that the town is having a 75th anniversary event, which I was advised was in October, but I was now advised by the town manager's office that it will be held in December. Don't know the date yet, but you might want to keep an eye on our town website. It will be published, I'm sure, shortly once it's confirmed. And for those of you that may not know, especially our newer members, the town has like a notification list that you could put yourself on. So you can get email blasts and things like that, different events that are happening in the town. So, but again, they're all on the town website if you prefer not to be included in the email blast. Also, I wanted to provide some updates on. There was a inquiry at the last meeting about Dr. Bloomberg's presentation regarding living on the urban ocean. The board requested that his presentation be placed on your board webpage. I discussed this with the town manager. He was fine with putting it on there, and it's actually been posted on the website since it actually was on there June 26. I know, Dr. Blumberg, we had some issues getting that actual presentation. But yes, we finally did it, converting it from your laptop to our server. So, so that is available on the website, town website as well. I think that's all I have. Oh, I'm sorry, one more thing. There was an inquiry at the last meeting about putting out in the manager's minute an article about recycling. We've done some recycling flyers, if you wish, in the manager's minute in previous publications. I did want to advise the board that for the March and April manager's minute, there actually was an article on recycling, and I'll pass it around so you all can see it. I tag it with a little orange tag, but it says here, the Natural Resource Preservation Advisory Board and the Public Works Department would like to remind residents that recycling is one of the most impactful ways that a community can express environmental conscientiousness. Here are some tips for Solid Waste Authority on how to recycle. And then they talk about the different bins and what needs to be placed on there. So this was, again, included in the March, April manager's minute. So I'll pass that around if you'd like to take a look at it. And I'll be providing you all a little bit more of an update on the event that we're going to be having, the educational outreach event regarding the beachfront property evaluation, but that's a separate item on the agenda. So when we get to that item, I'll be happy to give you more information on that.
Great. Thank you so much. Any questions?
I had
So-
I had a comment. I don't know if it's something that the board would be, I don't know if this is something that the board would be in favor of, but it's possible that we could have a field trip to the recycling center in West Palm Beach. I've been thinking about going there to see what they do. You know, you have all these rumors about they just throw it all in the landfill, but I think it's something to consider. I could make a phone call and see if they have tours and how they handle this, if the board would be interested in doing that.
For this team? For this team, for us?
Sorry?
For us, for this team?
Yes, for this team, yes.
the team. Anyone wants to come.
I mean, I think that's fine as long as we don't discuss any items that are on the agenda. As long as we do this as a private trip, I guess this is probably has to be referred to the town.
Yeah, I'll be happy to discuss it with the town manager. Yeah, we have to be mindful of the sunshine laws and all
Yeah.
that.
I mean,
But
we could have other people come as well. I mean, it could make it open and then we could have a couple team members there and whoever else wants to go from the public. And there's probably not gonna be that many, you know, but
I personally think it's a great idea, especially if it's open to the public as well. You could even organize a bus leaving from here, whoever is interested, the town could advertise it, but this is kind of like a new agenda item now. I don't know to what extent.
yeah.
would
We
you
could
like me to
discuss
call
it.
and see if it's possible to,
Maybe wait.
or do we want to wait and see? if
Well,
it's-
so you're looking like, are you specifically thinking about a bus, or are you looking for everyone to take themselves on their own there, or?
Well, I
Yeah.
didn't even think that far.
Yeah, okay,
So I mean, either way, it'd be fine.
okay,
I would say first step is to call them and see if that's even like something they do.
yeah,
Right.
And then we can organize and decide if that's like something you want to organize and then say,
Yep.
hey, meet us here at 11, or if we do like an organized town
Right.
Mhm.
trip.
Well, I'll call them first, but how do we follow up with that? Do we have to wait till the next meeting?
Well, what you can do is you can email me. I mean, we try to limit the email communications between meetings. You're really supposed to meet at your designated dates, but if you email me what you found out, what they're willing to offer, what, tours they're willing to give, then I can then send an email to all the board members and go from there. So you can reach out to them and then just email me.
Do I have your email?
I'll be happy to give it to you. Yeah, no problem. And then you can let me know what you
Okay.
found out and I'll advise the
Yeah.
board accordingly.
Okay,
Can-
thank you.
I'll make one comment. This is a very good, I think it's a great idea. We probably may want to, if they have enough parking, we could have everybody just who's interested, just meet somewhere and then drive, or carpool. That plant is a gold standard in the United States. I did a deep dive on this, when our president in my building was taking away the bins to stop our recycling program. And we just renewed the contract. You'll see that on the town commission website. So Waste Management is a very good partner on recycling, but most people throw out things the wrong way. And that creates a mess down at the plant that has to separate and put it, but they resell a tremendous amount of cardboard and paper. And they said they're happy to do tours when I inquired 2 years ago when this came up. So I think it's a great idea. And even though March is a little bit on the late side for the season in the manager's report, but we could renew that and see if we can spark interest in a trip, later on in the year. I think that's a great idea.
Mhm.
Great. So you will work with the town planner on this. I think that sounds great. Thank you. So we will move to approval of minutes, the minutes of May 1st, 2024. Are there any corrections to the minutes of May 1st, 2024? Any amendments, changes? No? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the minutes as presented? Thank you. Any second?
Alan.
Okay, thank you. All in favor, say yes.
Yeah.
Yes. All opposed, say no. So we'll move to unfinished business, dune restoration management related events and outreach. So basically, the Nature Preservation Advisory Board is always organizing dune management events to educate the public about the importance, how to manage and restore your dunes. The town has offered that we could have a table at their 75th anniversary, which was in October, and now we just heard that would be in December. So that would be one event where the town can have a table and be also present with the turtle team, together with the turtle team. And then there's also an event in November, which we're going to talk about at a separate agenda item, which is in the library, a presentation about the beach erosion study and the oceanfront properties that are affected. So these are two events that my understanding is, and Town Planner Alan can correct me if I'm wrong, that are definitely already in the diary that we know we're going to have. Is that correct?
A and B, because A is a bit more general. Again, we do have carte blanche from the commission to do educational outreach on dune restoration and management. So this is your opportunity to discuss other ideas, other ways to do outreach. And then item 8B is specifically about the event that we're proposing for November. So it's just A is to keep you guys focused. Hey, you know, this has been your initiative for quite a while, and you all want to add any ideas or, again, additional outreach, your opportunity to brainstorm on ideas and what have you.
Chris?
I had a question. Weren't we going to piggyback with the town celebration?
That's the
So
that's the
that's
75th
being moved to
December. Yes.
And so I think rather than have a separate event, I mean, we can still do, go to individual buildings if we get invited to do a coffee and Penthouse Towers has been doing that and we could do that again, I'm sure, but we could also, you know, have an informal one in October and November and then have a booth set up to educate people, because we had a lot of people stop by last year to talk to us at the December celebration.
Yes.
So we could try to do one other event to have people come and learn what needs to be done on dunes. I don't know whether we want to try to go to a different building or if Penthouse seemed to work, you know. I don't.
So regarding Penthouse Towers, I have an update there. So Elaine Prentice has resigned from Penthouse Towers. She's no longer working there. And she's starting with another building in Highland Beach. That's all I can communicate as of now. So with Penthouse Towers, I will reach out to their new manager. My understanding is they have a new management company, but not a manager assigned yet. It's a big, well-known management company. So I'm assuming they'll have a good manager that I can reach out to as soon as the person is known and ask whether we can continue to hold events there, because they have really a nice prestigious dune, and hopefully that manager will be equally pleased to help with this initiative. And then Elaine Prentice is joining another building that is also doing a dune restoration as we speak. And obviously that has to go through the board of that building. So I can also talk to that board and then have that building hopefully host an event. And then the third thing is we can reach out to other condos. And basically I have reached out to Mr. Shoemaker, who is now willing to host this topic at one of his meetings. There's a meeting, I think it's in October, which has the police department, fire department come to the president's meeting. That's going to be an update that I'm going to chase up later. But in terms of the dune restoration topics, that's definitely something we could bring up with. He agrees that we could bring it up. And then we can ask if there's other condos that are willing to host events. But that's probably not going to be happening before December. That would probably be more something for the spring.
I can also reach out to Ocean Place Estates and Ocean Place Villas, which are big pieces of property next door to me. I know several people that live there. I used to own a unit at Ocean Place Villas. I don't know if you guys can hear me. Can you hear me? Yeah. So I could do that. Yeah. And we'd have to set it up. It probably wouldn't be to the spring, but I can reach out to them.
That would be
if they'd
great.
like that.
We did do one in January last year, which was well attended, I think, towards the end of the month.
You did at a.
We had like to walk the dunes and see where, in this case, it was Penthouse Towers, where they were augmenting and what they did to augment. They explained that process, and we have a very good handout on the process.
Okay.
too.
I'd really like to see the handout and I'd love to, and I have to go on the website to see the dune restoration, the whole,
Presentation and the
Presentation.
reports on the website, but I think Ingrid, the presentation that we had, I think it's on natural resources.
Yes.
Within the town website, you go to natural
Right.
resources.
When you go, right, the Penthouse Towers PowerPoint presentation that they made at the various events that they hosted regarding their dune restoration effort is on the board's webpage.
okay.
So you just go to highlandbeach.us and then hover over boards. Actually, let me pull it up and I could give you the exact way to do it. So you go to Highland Beach, actually you hover over government.
Okay.
And then you'll see town boards, and then it says Natural Resources Preservation Advisory Board. And then you'll see the PowerPoint that Elaine Prentice had prepared under the tab of dune restoration and preservation. It's there. There's
Okay.
quite a big list of resources there specific to dune management and restoration. Yeah. And if I can just add, any meetings that you can confirm with any other condos, whether it's Penthouse Towers or somewhere, any other condo, just for the new members. In the past, the town has done an email blast, right? We send out an email blast advertising that Penthouse was providing this, I don't want to call it a seminar, but it was like a little workshop, right? And they, I think, had bagels at one point, different refreshments. So we do an email blast. There was an RSVP. So the town manager was fine with helping get that word out through the email blast. So
We very much appreciate that. I mean, these events were amazing. They had bagels, they had pancakes and a lot of coffee, and they
they
even
had a
had
pancake
salmon.
breakfast, I believe. at
One was
of them.
pancakes, one was bagels with even fresh salmon and nice coffee. It was a lot of mingling and chatting and residents meeting each other. And it was very good networking and with like-minded people, and it spreads the word, which I think is very, very helpful. So we want to do many more of those events at Penthouse Towers and other condos. So I appreciate if everybody can reach out and maybe report, because we cannot talk in between meetings, report to Town Planner Alan, and then you can probably reach out with the success. But I would say definitely what we just discussed, I will reach out to Mr. Shoemaker for the President's Group and see the appetite there to first of all, have a presentation there with an expert. And then secondly, follow up on that with condos that have an interest in actually hosting an event.
And would the other group there, because there is a Boca Highland Beach group?
Yeah, that's the other group, and that's, how shall I say that? It's become quite political because of Milani Park issues. So yeah, I don't know what to say there.
Okay.
That group is still meeting, but it's Milani related, the topic.
Okay.
So yeah.
Hey, Jacqueline, when is,
Yes. So yeah, so Highland Beach it's a very informal group. I think it was Mr. Shoemaker has formed it, but it's a very informal gathering of about 30 presidents that he invites. And
It's Northern Highland Beach. It's called Northern Highland Beach.
I think it's, yeah, I mean, it's the south because we're very south.
hey, Jacqueline, what scheduled meetings do we have for the remainder of the year, if any? We do have one more meeting. Okay. So just as an awareness, like we only get to meet now and possibly one more time, and it may not even line up with the anniversary event. So it's just a suggestion to use this time as appropriately and efficiently as possible. Because if we need to like organize things, because if we have a meeting December 1st and the 75th anniversary is December 7th, it's not enough time for us to plan anything. So if we want to talk about what we're going to do in a potential event, now's the time for us to discuss it. So I don't know if that's part of 8A or 8B. Like B
No,
is a
that would be
separate
part
event,
of
right?
8A.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be part A.
So just kind of keep our heads straight on and focused for
Yep.
Idea.
that.
So when we start talking about the event specifically, I think the one in December, I would suggest for the two new members, usually we have a table there with some information, with leaflets. People can come and discuss dune restoration with us. This year we plan to work together with the Turtle team. So the Turtle team could send 2 members and we could have 2 members staffing that table. Other members can also be there and mingle with the people, and we usually take turns at the table and literally just have discussions. People come and ask what we're doing, and it's really a good exchange. From a preparation standpoint, I think we just need to decide on logistics, like the table, who brings what, and then that's pretty much all we
And
need
last
to
year we
prepare.
had Penthouse Tower presentation available. I think Ingrid was kind enough to make some copies for us and we gave those out. And we had none left at the end. And then we just switched off, during the evening with different members.
And then we also ran the slideshow presentation. And I think we had talked about getting a tent. I don't know what the status.
Yes, I did confirm with the board at the May meeting. Actually, it's interesting that you brought that up because we do have some new staff in the town manager's office that will be managing the event. So I actually sent her an email at the end of August, just like heads up, that the board wanted for the 75th anniversary, because they're talking about it already, that you all wanted that banner on the top of the tent, because when it was along the rim of the table last year, you said there were a lot of people, they couldn't see the banner.
Yeah,
So I had gotten confirmation many months back that would not be a problem. But given we have some new staff now, I wanted to reiterate the promises that were made before.
excellent.
And so it shouldn't be a problem at all to get it up higher.
Thank
So
you.
yeah,
Thank you.
I have a question. Do you have a dune expert at this table at all? I mean, do you have anyone with I'm thinking Dan, like, because he's amazing and he
He's
goes
amazing.
all over to restore dunes. I mean, if we could get him to be there, because he can answer questions, with the educated mind, where I can't. I could tell people what we did to preserve the dune, but he was the one who actually did it.
Dan would be amazing.
And I know I could probably get him to come.
He worked for your property. He works on our property now, thanks to you. He's amazing, and he has literally restored our dune. We're still in the process, so I think we should definitely ask him if that's fine with the town, that we could have
He
an
just is
expert there.
a wealth of information, just amazing. So if everybody agrees, I will get in touch with him and see if he's available to do that,
We just need to be cautious that he's not trying to sell his services. while
He
he's
definitely
doing it.
doesn't try to sell.
No,
He
I-
does it, he
I
really.
believe you. I
Yeah.
just, the board can't promote a certain business.
So not as a business, he would be there as a
Perfectly
expert.
fine with, yeah.
Yeah.
Like
I think it
reporting
would
on
be-
what he's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
people have questions about how he did what he
Right.
did for your property or
Right,
your,
or-
yeah.
The people we brought sand in. I mean, it's just, it would be good to have him there to answer questions, not to promote his business. I mean, he's
Sure.
just. I mean, he did 2 doors down just because it was a mess. It didn't take money. When I had extra sand, so. No business. I don't even think he has a business, to be honest with you.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, well, I can certainly ask him, and we have a specific date in December or no?
I have not been advised of a date
Okay.
yet. So as soon as I find out, I'll email the board and I'll run this gentleman, Dan. I don't recall his last name. Do you?
It's what it be, and I'm gonna
Okay,
butcher it.
yeah.
I think it's Bellotti or Bellini, something.
Is it a
like that.
Belmonte or something?
Belmonte,
Yes,
Yeah,
Bellante,
Bellante.
that's it.
I'll
Yeah.
just run it by the town manager that you're discussing
I
him
got me too. I'd
having,
like one right now.
that you all want him
Bellante.
out there, and
Yeah.
I'll just run it by the town manager.
Absolutely,
And make
that's
sure
great.
that we're all on the same page.
Hey.
And the good news is we have used other experts, like we have used Robert, I forgot his last name. He came to present at the library about a year or 2 ago. So we had other experts come, so we're having a mix of experts come, so we're not promoting any specific expert.
If I can add, at the last event you all had, we got some brochures from the county on, again, dune plantings. We actually just filled out the rack that's right in front of the town clerk's office with some more brochures. I still have a pretty full box of those. So as I said, last year that was passed out to residents. And I think within the box, there was some sea turtle flyers as well.
Yes.
So you can add those to pass out to residents.
So that would be great. So from an organizational standpoint, we don't have another meeting before the December event. So
Might.
we might have one, we might have to organize one.
Yeah.
If we don't, the town would organize the tent and the banner. Is that correct?
Yeah, the tent will be set up and the town staff, town manager's office will organize the banner.
That's great. And obviously, as usual, the table will be there. So all we would bring is the tablecloths and the decoration. And you would also provide the Palm Beach County flyers and the brochures you just mentioned.
Yeah.
So we would have to provide a slideshow, the computer, which is something we can organize over email with you, maybe a
Yeah, as
couple of
I said,
weeks
once we
before.
finalize the date, I'll email the board. As I've done in the past, I'll include in my email, who can attend to, present at the table or, mind the table for what time frame. And then I'll send the email out to all the board members, so you'll see who will be at what time. And, it's pretty informal. It's a nice event for those of you that haven't attended. So in the
It's a
past, we've
lot.
had some people can't make it, but, seemed to work out.
It was a lot of fun.
We all know the
Nice
drill.
event,
I don't
yeah.
think we need a specific meeting to organize the December event. And I can speak to the turtle team. I see them on the beach every morning at 6
Yeah.
o'clock. So
And I'm happy to volunteer for the table on and
Yeah,
off.
so am I.
Yeah.
yeah, so I think we have plenty of people. So in terms of general events, anything else that we need to discuss? Because I think we have pretty much outlined the action items. I will definitely reach out to Penthouse Towers once we have the manager. I'll reach out to the new tower where Elaine Prentice is working. I will reach out to Mr. Shoemaker and the president group for a presentation and also cooperation. And then Karen will reach out to a couple of towers that or anybody will reach out to towers that you have contact with, and then inform town planner Alan about the outcome. And then we all obviously try to go, I'll try to go to any of these June events and meet people and spread the word and try to educate people. Any other action items? And obviously then the December event, which we just talked about. Any other action items regarding 8A, dune restoration management related events that I forgot to summarize? Great, so then we could come to 8B, 2023 beachfront property evaluation. That's the long document that we have received and briefly discussed in the last meeting on May 1st. Discussion and educational outreach to residents. I refer this item to Town Planner Alan.
Yes. So on page 9 of your packets, I prepared for you an agenda memorandum on this item. Just a refresher, I talk about how at your May 1st meeting, the town manager gave the board direction to look at the beachfront evaluations that were included as part of that 2023 beach restoration feasibility study. And you all agreed, as far as the educational outreach, that you wanted to go ahead and do a letter. You also discussed possibly having the event. So again, I did discuss this with the town manager. He was okay with doing the event. And he was okay with you all doing a letter. He did ask staff to make some revisions, and I referenced in the memorandum that I made some minor content and formatting changes, and you all can review that, make changes as you see fit. And so we have confirmed the library, which was where the previous events were held. It will be on November 12th. We're going to have Optum Environmental and Infrastructure come in. The consultant is Doug Mann. He's the coastal engineer. And they were the firm that actually prepared the 2023 beach restoration feasibility study. So really, the event is going to be looking at those beachfront property evaluation. Again, all this information is available on the town website. You could look at the actual study. If you go to agendas, you'll be able to look at the actual study from the meeting when it was presented. And you'll also be able to see the YouTube video of that meeting. You could see the presentation as well. So yeah, we've confirmed that date. He will be going over those beachfront property evaluation really in an effort to, again, educate the residents like, hey, this is your reality. This is your property. This is your site-specific address. And this is a current situation regarding your beach. And this is a current situation regarding your dune. And these are recommendations that you can make in order to improve your dune, protect the dune. So when you look, if you all remember at the May meeting, you had that whole study. You had the beachfront evaluation. So as I said, it's site specific, gives a reality of what's currently happening, and then some recommendations. So it's really, he will be really focusing on that aspect, addressing questions that people may have regarding dune plantings, I mean, there could be a variety of questions. So that will be the focus of the actual event. And then on page number 11, we have the attachment number 1, which was the original draft that I received from the board. I had emailed this last draft, or I should say, I emailed a draft letter that was submitted, I think it was by the chair. Is that correct, Chair Nessel? You prepared it. I did get some revisions. I got the last set of revisions, I think was on May 20th. So attachment 1 is what I received from the board. And then attachment number 2 on page 12 is the revisions. Again, as I mentioned earlier, the town manager had asked staff to make some content, there's some formatting changes. And as you can see, we've provided some QR codes for the full study packet. So if anyone wants to look at the full study, and then we have a QR code on the bottom, which is specific to the presentation video. And then in the middle part of the letter, you'll see that I provide the step-by-step ways you can, if you don't want to use a QR code, how you can find the agendas, the dates where you can find this information. And I also wanted to add, we will be adding an additional QR code for the RSVP. Instead of having the RSVP to me, we've done this with other events. We have, I don't want to say it's a server, but it's a site that the town has used in the past that helps with the RSVP process. So if the board's okay, we'll probably add a third QR code that will be specific for RSVPing, and then we'll change, the RSVP from my email address to that. I don't know if it may be too long to type out, but we'll see how it goes. But I think that might be a little bit of a better way to manage the RSVPs. But this is the letter. If you have any changes you'd like to make to it, this is a letter that is proposed to go out to all the residents. Typically, the letters go out a month before the meeting. It will be on the town website. It'll be part of an email blast. It'll be mentioned at various commission meetings, any other board meetings. So any input that you have, any comments on the letter? We found in the past that when you send letters out too far in advance, given we're promoting an event here, you send it out too far in advance, people forget about it. So thinking to at least set it, get it moving minimum of a month before. And that way it won't be too far from the event. So I'll be happy to take any comments you might have.
Yeah, I went through it. Everything looks excellent. Just one recommendation that I would make is when you go to the study packet for the report, it starts with an addendum item or pages first. Wondering if we could just remove those first pages just so it starts right with the report.
The letter that the item starts on page 9 and the evaluation starts on page 70. That's a link to our agendas. So I don't know that we can really manipulate that because it's linked directly to that meeting. So anybody that wanted to look at that meeting, regardless if it was for this particular item, you
Hmm.
don't want to, but that's the agenda for that meeting. So, I don't know that we can
Create a
manipulate
special
and have a separate
page, like create a special page for this stuff, for this, like, I don't know. Because
Yeah, I'm
Good
just
point.
trying to be a layperson. I was not really interested in reading the letter, but I went to, I went to the QR codes and I'm like, okay, where's the report? Because I'm seeing an agenda. So just thinking outside the box here as a layperson.
starts on page 9 and evaluation starts on page 70. Maybe I need to put that at the bottom under the QR code as well.
Okay,
Absolutely.
Well,
Yeah.
you can, the QR code can be a link to anything that's on the website. So you can link it to a PDF file or a video.
That's what that is.
But if he's saying he goes to it and it goes to the agenda and minutes page,
So it gives you the agenda first because it gives you the whole packet. There was many items on that agenda.
yeah,
So
it's
that's
like
the
everything that was on the agenda for that
so
day.
they just have to scroll.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's not much you can do about
Yeah,
that.
that's
Yeah.
the agenda for that meeting. We don't manipulate it because it gets
Gotcha.
in the future. Maybe
understand.
How about if we just have the report, just those pages on our website, on the Nature Preservation Advisory Board website, and then the link goes to that website link, and then it's just the report rather than the agenda packet. Would
Uh,
that technically work?
I guess we could do that.
That's a good idea. And I'm thinking, you know, from a layperson and
Yeah.
from a marketing standpoint, you know, how do you capture somebody's attention immediately?
Mhm.
And starting with those pages, for most people, when they're looking for the report, they may disengage.
I agree, and people are not familiar with the format that you have to go through to see the attachments. And then they
Yeah.
just disregard it.
Yeah.
I agree. Would you be able to do that, to have the report,
I'll
just the
check
report?
with our IT person. I don't think that'll
Mhm.
be a problem. So just put a PDF of the report on the natural resources page and then make the QR code link to that. instead.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think that would work.
That
And it's a
shouldn't be a
great
problem.
report to have on our website anyway, on our
Yeah,
nature
absolutely.
preservation. Yeah.
So question, Ingrid.
Yeah.
The focus that we were really trying to do is saying, hey, your property is in this presentation. So
Yeah.
the letter that was originally drafted, like really focuses on like, hey, your property could be in this report, check it out. Like that, the revisions, like, so was that kind of a town manager kind of saying, hey, we have to generalize this a bit more, or can we revise the language to kind of say like, hey, check your property
Right.
in this
Well,
packet?
That would make me
let's-
want to go to it. and look at it.
Yeah.
And that we're, you know, we're trying with the limited capacity of our board to kind of target people.
Mhm.
Call
So,
to action.
and call to action, exactly. So I think those rewording it in a sense, you know, in the way you've generalized it kind of takes away that effect.
I think
Very
that sounds like a nice little header, something like it, well, every property, every beachfront property is on there. It doesn't, it's
Hmm.
not a matter,
Sure.
it's not, I mean, but maybe, hey, check your property. Again, every property address is in the report. So that's why I think we decided to take out, you know, are you or your condo's property located on the beach? The evaluation looks at each property. So everyone's property is on there. So, but I like that little idea of capturing, having a phrase out there to check your address or check your
Yeah, like
property.
make
or
sure,
something.
make sure your property's in compliance or something like
Yeah.
that.
So I had the same thought, like appeal to the beachfront properties first. Obviously, other ones are indirectly relevant as well. But in the draft letter, it said, are you or is your condo property located on the beach? If yes, then act, or something like that, which was in the original draft.
Okay.
And here, obviously, I think we can define. We have some marketing people here, so come up. My wording was, are you or is your condo's property located on the beach? question mark.
Yeah,
Right.
And then they, go, what's going on?
right. Yeah, yeah, I like it.
If
Okay,
so,
we can add that to the top. That's no problem.
Yeah.
Again, we're gonna mail it to everyone because keep in mind, there are properties that are on the west side of A1A that are actually also on the east side, right? So it could be one parcel control number.
Mm.
So we may have people on the intercoastal that even, or they live on the intercoastal and they still really care about what's going on the beach. And just because they're on the intercoastal side doesn't mean that they shouldn't
Correct.
participate. So that's, yeah, but if you all want that, that's a
That'd be great.
great way to capture.
What you
Yeah.
said.
Yeah,
so so it's basically the original wording, are you or is your condo property located on the beach?
Okay.
Question mark. I would then even add, and please help me with the wording, if so, comma, act, exclamation mark, and that in capital letters. Make it dramatic so people actually read the letter.
Yeah, well, that might get their attention to read the rest of the letter.
Because if I get a letter like this, I get a lot of those from the tax person.
Yeah, I know.
I just like, oh,
Should-
September,
And I would just take out-
location. I'm overwhelmed.
Yep,
Take out the word condo because there's a lot of single family homes that are in trouble too.
yeah,
Yeah.
is your property, I think we
Yeah.
would
So remove condo, okay.
say property. And the other.
Do you
we could-
agree on if so, comma, act, exclamation mark? Is everybody on that dramatic?
Or read this.
Oh,
Rather
that's
than-
good.
Yeah,
Read this.
Yeah,
from the former.
that should be out.
something like check out what we found on, about your property, or, what information we have on your property.
So what is more powerful, act now or read this? What do people think?
Beware.
Wanted.
Well, it is read information about your property. It is, because they're gonna wonder, my property,
Right, yeah.
who did that?
I think.
They don't even know that there was
Read will
some-
get their attention because if they have to act, nobody wants to do anything. But
Right.
Reading is a little less intimidating.
You could put read now.
Or read this and act?
What if we say like find your property's specific evaluation
Yeah, something like
on
that.
this, through this link or something like that? So then they can literally control F and type in their address and it'll go to the
Yeah.
page of their property.
Then they might
Or-
oversee that there's an event. You know what I mean? Then they just click and then the letter goes away. They don't see that's actually an event.
But the town's gonna do an email blast.
With the
And
event.
snail
yeah.
mail,
This is snail mail, but then,
but this will be the same email.
yeah,
Yeah. So what's the favorite version? Read this, more specific details, or act now, or combination?
read and act now. That's a good, get them doing both. Read, you're telling them to go down and that there's something that we need them to do.
Or read and act now. Here is how your property is affected, and then that's the title, and then the text that we have prepared.
So we tell them how your property is, yeah, that's a good idea.
See how your property's affected, read
Yeah.
now.
Yeah,
Yes,
Yes.
that's
I mean,
good.
because you're getting you're looking at.
I love
property
that. See how your property
I
is
would
affected.
make me look for my property.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yours does not look great.
okay. See how
You
your
have 2 more
property
years.
is-
Yeah, I would,
Read to see how your property's affected. I
Yeah.
like that.
That's engaging.
Yeah.
Is
Yep.
that the final
On that,
on the top?
Read-
Where you want that right after, dear resident, or where do you want that?
Where was it before? Let me see.
I think right after dear resident, because you're telling, that's something that, that's to them.
I like it in bold in the middle of the page on top before the letter even starts.
At
I-
the beginning,
Mhm.
Yeah, like up here.
okay.
Like a reference.
I like
Yeah.
that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said it was read to see how wait, you want, are you, or is your property located on the beach? And then if so, read to see how your property is affected? Is that it?
I would say beachfront property owners. That's how I would start, so
Yeah.
that they're addressed, beachfront property owners.
Read now,
Read and act or something like that.
read now to see how your property's affected.
You,
That's,
you could actually remove the read to and just say, see how your property is affected. It makes the same reference point from a marketing
Beachfront
standpoint.
property owners, see how your property is affected.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yep.
Marketing approved, awesome.
I know.
PR approved.
The other comment I was going to make, Madam Chairman, is that on the, just having gone in to find this presentation myself on YouTube, we don't mention that it's in YouTube. It's shocking to me how unfamiliar people are with looking for things on the internet. So we might want to indicate that this is on, this is a link to a YouTube page that, and it's at the minute marker, and put that notation under that scan so that they know if they scan, that's where they're going to, because they have to then fast forward to get to that part of the.
But it says it, presentation starts at the 47.57.
Yeah, I think if we're doing something under here for the packet, we ought to do it under there, that it's,
Okay.
you know, fast forward to minute, whatever it is, 47, 48.
You mean
So-
under the QR code?
Yeah.
Okay.
But then not in the text. So we delete it in the text and we add it under the QR code.
I don't see doing it.
Every
Finally.
meeting has a time-stamped YouTube video,
Yeah.
so you don't have to fast forward.
Yeah, the QR code actually did go right to that moment in time, if I can recall, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, then we don't need to
47,
do that.
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I was unaware of that because I didn't use the QR code yet.
Yeah, you can click and it just.
well, it's finally just
Oh,
open. This is
okay.
272 pages. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So what's the conclusion on shall we leave it as it is? Because it's timestamped.
If it goes right
Yeah,
there,
on the video, it
realize
works
that.
fine. Yeah, it
Yeah.
goes right to that moment
Okay.
when
Okay.
when you click it.
So we're good. We're good with the
Yeah.
way it is.
Yes.
Okay. Having said that, this whole letter, I mean, I have a lot of older property owners in my condo and they would struggle with this. I know. They have phones, but that's overwhelming to a lot of people. So I would also add a sentence. I hate to make this even longer, so maybe we could work on making it shorter in terms of the text. But I would add just a short sentence saying materials are available at the town hall reception to view. I don't think we need to print it. We're the nature board. We're not printing. But that one print is there for you, and maybe also one print at the library. So people can go and sit at the library, have a coffee and read it there,
Mm.
but leave it there, not take it home. So that older people who have time and like to socialize can come to the library, read the material and then go back home, but leave it behind there. What do you think of that idea?
Yeah, I don't see a problem to have a hard copy.
So we one hard copy at the town hall reception plus the library. So that's basically two prints.
Okay.
Like putting it in a binder, kind of, yeah. Nice.
Is that something that town could print and manage?
Yeah.
That'd be great. And then add one sentence just regarding that.
Okay. Where would you like the sentence?
Good question.
Maybe after for more information?
I was just looking there. That's perfect,
Mhm.
I think.
Yeah,
Mhm.
good idea.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You have two letters here. Are we gonna send them in one?
No, it's one letter. The one was a draft. This is the final version.
This is not going-
Yep. This one you can forget. This is just a draft. This is the one that's gonna be sent.
Yeah.
The one with the letterhead of the town.
I like that, join the conversation that you had, you know, to invite them to the November, if that's what, I don't know when we're doing it now, but.
Well, I made it very corporate and I realized, this is probably not very applicable to a town. So I think you made it more like political and less corporate, like join the conversation is more colloquial, like.
Well,
More engaged.
we went with the, we encourage your participation in this informative event, but if you like, join the conversation.
Yeah, it's simple and invites them and.
Yeah, we're a little bit more casual.
It's really, again, he's going to be presenting, the individual properties. I guess there will be conversations you can have with
Yeah,
the coastal engineer.
that's the goal.
But it's also a lot of education, so people can learn about what's going on. with
Maybe
their
join
particular
the
property.
learning session or something like that. So it's short and crisp.
I think join the conversation is catchy.
I like it.
Yeah, it's kind of like get with it,
Yeah.
be part of it.
So are we deciding to move the sentence participate in the upcoming, we replace that by simple join the conversation as we had it in the first draft?
They're gonna be they have to be very careful how they organize this, because that report is huge.
Well, again, the report is not, the event is not going to be about the entire report. The event is going to be only on the beachfront evaluation.
Not the evaluation.
The evaluations in the
You're not
back.
gonna talk about your specific property.
Right, and talk about your specific property and that evaluation, again, what's going on currently, that assessment that was made, and then what the recommendations are. The event is not going to be to rehash the entire 2023 study, because the commission, when they heard the study, the consultant came and presented it, they didn't want to move forward with any particular option. So again, there was no direction given to the board. It was the town manager that, again, gave the direction to the board to really focus on doing the outreach for the beachfront evaluation, so people know about it. And nobody really knows unless they were watching that meeting. A lot of people don't know that this information's out there. So that will be the goal of the event, to make sure that people are aware of this particular evaluation, what it means to them, what the recommendations are, how they could possibly move forward, ask questions.
Yeah, I think that's a great summary of what happened, and the opportunity we have as natural resources is to talk to people about it. The town may be willing to help people if there's enough property owners that want to buy plants or want to engage somebody. This is our chance to talk to people about how this is a grassroots program that you can do on your property. So I think that's a good way to do it. It's a segue, I guess, actually.
Yeah, keep it alive.
And it's also a way to give the message the town apparently is not willing to bring sand in. Obviously, nature will do its job automatically from the north and the south, but you can do something to actually accumulate sand by planting sea oats. We did it and it's phenomenal, the result we got already in a couple of months. So I think that's the message.
So is the town willing to help these homeowners at all with plantings, with anything? I always found this in 28 years very odd that when we had Sandy, we had to do everything. We had to come here and get approval to bring sand in immediately because our house would have been gone. I mean, I saw the pilings under my deck. So we got to, but is the town ever going to be willing to contribute to these homeowners? I mean, I've done it for 28 years on our own, but I'm just saying, wouldn't that be an incentive for people to get this stuff done?
I think that is what Natural Resources wants to bring the information to people.
Okay.
Once you see the presentation on YouTube, you'll see him describe how Boca and Delray are 1.5 feet higher than us. Their beach area. And so when people begin to think about that, then they're going to begin to think, how do we get more sand? How can we, even if it's over a period of 5 years, and the sand does come back over time, we've
Oh,
found.
believe me, I know it,
And-
but I've seen Boca and Delray dredge around me for years.
Yeah, it
because,
has to
you
do
know,
with public access.
yes.
And so I think that what we can do is try to think of ways that might be palatable to the town and also to the owners. If we have enough people who want to work on their beachfront, then there's going to be an interest in trying to help facilitate. And is there a way to do that? They have more ability to facilitate that. If there's a bunch of orders, they might be able to get a better price on plants or other things. So that's something I think there has been a discussion, I believe, in an open meeting about that as an idea. But I think we, as the natural resources, that's our role, is to try to get people the information so they can even understand what the problem is. A lot of people don't know that they haven't put the right plants out front to capture sand. They don't know that. They have sea grapes
Yeah,
and they
which
think
are,
that's enough,
there,
right?
shouldn't be there. Yes.
Problem is, it's all private property. So
It's
the town
private
can't really do it.
property when to a point. Because, you know, that whole thing that Governor Scott put in with the high water line and everything. So, but then it's not private property, you know, to that point. So it's a very thin line. You know, Governor Scott, when he was, I don't know if he was governor, but he passed that law in like 2018 that said it's private property, everything above the high water line, the mean high water line.
Hmm.
But, you know, we have people from Bellito, from Bill, you know, across the street that are on the property. I mean, I don't mind it at all, but it is more public place for this community than it is a private property, you know? I mean, hey, listen, it's been argued from Palm Beach all the way down for years, but it is, I mean, public assets for our community we have, not public access for somebody coming from Boca. So it's a very thin line, and, you know, I think that if people are willing to fix their dune, the town should go out there and maybe buy plants, you know, in bulk and help the community, or, you know, buy, you know, I brought in sand for a long time, and I don't expect them to do that. It's very costly. You have to match the sand and, you know, do all the fine lines. But I seriously think that they, in some way, maybe, okay, I'm just taking this from, the people in Bellito use the beach, okay? Do they contribute to restoring the beachfront? Do you go out to them and pass a petition? I mean, if you had every home in there give $500, you could replenish sand and do I mean, it's just thoughts that have been going through my mind for almost 30 years that everybody uses the beach. You know, it's private to a point, you know, for that homeowner. It's private property to a point.
So if you look at that study, we definitely recommend going and watch it. So you'll see there's a picture of every single property on the beach.
Mhm.
And the most ones that need the most work are individual
Homeowners.
single family homes. And all that beach, like they hire outside contractors to come and do the sand, like that's their property. So we can't, as a board, force them to do anything. So that's why our huge initiative is advocacy and education, because our hands are tied. Like we can't,
No, I think it's wonderful
you know,
what you're
but
doing,
the
but
problem is, you know, a lot of these people are snowbirds, or they, you know, when we have these events, they're not here, they're not interested, they don't know about it. So anything that we can do to kind of outreach to those specific people, like that's what we're here to kind of come out and find those ideas and to market it better.
I think it's great. I just think the whole community has to come together. I think what you're doing is great. And honestly, that's why I suggested Ocean Place Estates have a meeting for them, because those are all private homes. There's 11 private homes that take up a great deal of the beach. So, you know, I go from when I was bringing sand in, I went from door to door there to say, who wants sand? We're getting sand to come in now. You know, we could get it cheaper if we all unite, you know, and like the man next door to where I live is in Europe and no one's there. No one's there at all to talk to or get, so it's a tough situation. And it's just very hard. It's costly
Sure.
is the bottom line. So to make the beach look pristine and beautiful and keep our beach. So that's why I joined. Like, I want to help in any way I can to do that. So.
I think from the last meeting, we had somewhat similar discussions, and if I'm not mistaken, we had some limitations because of the difference between the private, public property and
Right.
the government's ability to interact in regarding to that. So I think that's the biggest hurdle that we have.
No, absolutely. That's huge.
Yeah.
And then, you have these buildings that you have 100 residents in. So if they all chip in, it's so much easier than a single family home bringing sand in, it's tough.
Yeah, the first step that we've seen in the is you have to they all have easements that go over to the beach. So they all use the beach.
Yeah.
And so our first challenge is to really get them interested in the dune building, because that is clearly what the expert, one of the recommendations that he had, short of doing a total restoration, but that's something you could do.
No,
And if
don't bring
we-
in invasive plants and plant the
Right,
right, yes, absolutely. You're
And
so
if we
right.
get enough people interested in that, that's when you could say, well, hey, we've got, these 6 condos and these on both sides, and they'd like to buy a bunch of plants, but if we go to the market, they're $2.75, but you could get them for $2 or whatever it is it costs. And that, I think, is something that we could bring to the town commission that they might consider, because they have purchase power that we don't have. And then the York condo still is going to reimburse for that or pay for that.
Well, having gone through the project, the material cost is probably less than 1% of the overall cost of the project. It's labor. It's mainly labor. That's what it is. So labor, you can't procure cheaper. I mean, that's on every property owner. I don't think the town can help procure it cheaper. The plants is literally, I would probably guess, less than 1% of the overall cost that we spent. They're $1 a piece or $1.25.
Yeah, the plants aren't there. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I appreciate the frustration. I have the same frustration. It is a private beach. I think we can help with these events, having people talk to each other, like you try to
And
talk to your
becoming aware.
European owner,
Yes.
and bundle and work together and have sand transported together and work together. I think that's what the town probably can do at
Yeah.
this point.
I was going to say, I think when you have the event, as many of you can attend, would be great. It's an opportunity to talk to the residents, and sometimes things organically come out of that. Okay, like, are you guys looking for plants? Or maybe somebody may bring that up. And then if you see that as a theme, reoccurring theme in different events, maybe when you have the 75th anniversary, you're going to be talking to people, to the residents, listen to what they say, what their concerns are, what they would like to see. And then you could come back. And again, so as I said, sometimes these things happen organically, if that's the next step. But again, I think to be focused, your intent with the letter is to get educate the residents about what's in the evaluation, and what may come out of that. I guess we'll see what the residents feel is a priority for them, or maybe there aren't priorities. I don't know. Yeah.
And we have all these events for exactly that purpose. So
Yeah,
we'll be
just that
meeting.
we have to make the residents aware. I don't think
Yeah.
a lot of them are aware.
Right.
So.
You said that the predominance is with the single family homeowners?
Well, that are in bad shape. I
Yeah.
mean, I just looked through this report fast.
If you go through the
But-
whole report.
Yeah. So I guess the question is, how do we engage those people who most of them are not full-time year round?
We've extensively tried targeted approaches and nothing is a result. We're open to new ideas. So I'll say, especially for new members, it's a common frustration upon joining this board.
Mm.
Some of us have been here for over a year and a half or 2 years, and we're very limited on the powers that we have to kind of, besides taking it upon our own and going canvassing door to door.
Right.
You know.
Hands are tied. I get it.
So
Can-
education is our biggest tool, and
Yeah.
the ability for the town to allow us to have these events and have tables at the towns, like those are our biggest opportunities to make a difference and change.
Okay, so let's make it now.
And I personally do it as a resident. I was unsuccessful here, but successful in the north. My neighbor in the north had Japanese knotweed, very brutal plant. I saw it in his bed. I literally rang the doorbell and I informed them that this plant is going to ruin your entire property unless you control it now. And this was actually the one of the family members, and they apparently told the owner, because a year later it was all gone. So they listened to me. Here, I did the same thing when I'm walking the beach and I see kids playing with the dogs. Sometimes I get into a conversation and then I say, look, I also live on the beach. Do you live here? And this kid said, yeah, my grandmother lives here. Where? Oh, New Jersey. Are they here only for Christmas or whatever, Hanukkah, whatever? You know, it would be great if you mentioned to your grandmother that I'm really concerned about your dune. And I had this conversation with these grandchildren. They were like teens, like older teens. Nothing happened. But I tried.
Yeah.
It only got worse, but I tried. So that's what I do as a person. I try to talk to the people that live there, but in a nice way, not in a lecturing way. And I don't even mention that I'm on this board. I
Do we
just
have-
do it as a neighbor.
Do we have any materials that we could hand them? Because I know a number of the people that live in the mansions to the north of us. And if I could give them something and say, you know, one of the reasons the beach is low and whatnot is because the dunes are not being well maintained. And here's some information that, you know, if you.
We have wonderful-
Then they can tell their neighbors.
The natural resources website is loaded with information.
This is the report. These are the pictures of their homes.
Right,
You can make a copy of the picture of the homes that you know.
yeah,
I mean,
okay,
I'm welcome to show you this after
Okay.
the meeting.
yeah, okay.
And there's nothing more dramatic than seeing your house from, you know, below sea level.
House
You know,
looking like it's
looking
gonna
up at
float
your-
away.
Looking up at your dune.
Right.
So if you look at the website, there's a lot of documents, but I think the best one is the Palm Beach County flyer.
These are on.
Pass it to.
Yeah.
I'm showing him on my phone right now. Well, you could, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, so it's on here.
And there's a Palm Beach County flower. I'm probably sure. Do you mind handing our new member the documents that you have in your box, the flyer that we distribute to
They're right
residents?
out front. They're right out
Oh,
front in the
perfect.
rack,
I'll show it to
right
you.
by the clerk's office.
I'll show it to you
Yeah.
when we leave.
Nice house.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great.
No.
Yeah, because there's like 5 houses.
The
If you
dunes.
open the middle, you'll see there's about 5 houses on
What's
each,
on it? See, right.
each sheet.
Right, not protected, right.
No,
Yeah, that would be
Kinda
useful.
caving
Thank
in.
you.
Jacqueline,
'Cause I
did
don't
you,
think they even know.
did you get the last revision to
forward.
the letter or not? No?
I did.
Okay.
I wrote it.
Okay, I just want to be sure it's clear on the record how you want to revise you said you want it in bold, in the middle of the page, right after the residents, dear residents. What was the final, or I don't know if you all want to make a motion on how you want that to read. I think what I'll do at this point is I will take the revision, if you all have consensus on it. I will revise the letter and then I will email you all the letter, okay? And then if you have any additional comments, then, you know, you could email me back. I think that's probably the best way to move forward since there's been a few changes. So I don't know if you want to maybe read into the record the last change, Ms. Villegas. I believe you were the
Well,
last one to
what
make
we
a
have
comment.
for bold is beachfront property owners see how your property is affected. Exclamation point. And then in the lower part of the letter, under participate in the upcoming resident outreach, the last sentence, we're switching out that sentence and put join the conversation, exclamation.
And that's the sentence, we encourage your participation. Get rid of that.
Right.
And then the beachfront element is above or below dear resident or something similar?
I think Josh suggested just above dear resident.
Above it?
It might
Yeah.
be.
Oh, above dear residents,
Yes, yeah.
that in bold?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Any other changes?
Then the availability at the town hall reception and library, the last sentence after for more information.
Right.
And we have the additional QR code, I think.
Yep, there's a RSVP code.
Yes.
Yep.
And you said that would just be materials are available at the town hall reception and or library, something to that effect?
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay.
And the
Anything
first
else?
QR code would refer directly to the report that's on our website rather than.
Yeah, that's going to be a PDF, right?
Yeah.
That'll be a link on
Yeah.
the town, on the board's webpage.
And so, Chair, you're gonna make a motion?
I
No,
make-
no.
Well, I don't know that we need a motion, but
No
I think we
motion.
got a
Okay.
better idea of what you
Good.
want.
I think it's done by email. You're going to send the
Yeah,
last draft.
given I'm going to revise it
Yes.
again and email it, I don't think we need the motion.
Perfect.
Good.
Great.
Good.
So I think we're done with this
Good
item,
one
even the
question.
time.
He has a
Any-
question.
Is there any reason that the city of Highland Beach could not contribute? Because that'd be a big incentive for the homeowners to, if they're getting 25% of the restoration paid for, could the city contribute to that?
Again, it's because they own the properties. The town doesn't own the property. So, the town's not going to pay them to maintain their own property. Just like I have a laundry list of my condo on the intercoastal side that I'd love the town to pay for some stuff for, but they don't. So
Well, it also helps the community, it helps the city.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
helps the beaches.
It helps, and it is part of Highland Beach. I don't know that it violates any law to do that, even if it's 10%.
Sure, I would,
This is disaster. This thing costs 50,000, the city paid 5,000. And maybe they.
again, I think our best bet is using the town's purchasing power because we are, a town and city to kind of get better rates on products or services. But the town, at least I wouldn't recommend the town paying for that. That wouldn't.
But it would help the beaches, right?
That would more be state
Sure.
funding or state or federal funding if it was
Right.
existing.
I
which-
mean, there could be potentially grants, and I think we do have some information that
Yeah.
the homeowner can use as a grant to apply for assistance in that. But you also take a look at the intercoastal side, the seawall problem. I mean, that's almost as big of a problem as the beach erosion.
Right, right.
So would you want the town to pay for all the residents to increase their seawalls? Again, you're looking at a gazillion-dollar additional project.
Well, it depends
you
on
know.
how much it would cost.
But the opportunity is with these educational, because I think
Right.
if we get talking so that we see people at this educational forum and then also at the anniversary, and then also if we do one at one of the condos or at Ocean Place or something, educate them about dunes,
Yeah.
then we could we can get enough people. I mean, these are people who are members, live in our town, so they get the interest
Right.
spiked. I think right now we don't have enough people to have the interest spiked.
Right.
And so that was the charge to this group, was to start that process.
And Kevin, you're a lawyer, it's private property.
I
I
know.
mean, they could subsidize it, but that's going to be,
Yeah,
as we
well,
said,
grants
financially.
grants may be a better way.
Right. Grants
Yeah.
are definitely, if you seek public funds, that's probably a better way to go. So the town cannot help with the dune part, the toe of the dune, but the town could theoretically do what the report. And if you read the report, it has 4 options. The most expensive one is spending $15 million on bringing sand in from doing nothing to that. And that's the town's decision. And that brings us to the next agenda item about duties and powers of this board. It's not in our duty and power to advise the town on those items because that's their political discussion in their budget and so forth. So shall we move forward to the next agenda item, discussion on intercoastal waterway protection? Because actually we almost started the topic with the seawall issue. That would be the next, it's almost a regular agenda item. We're very focused on the dunes, but you mentioned it's equally important to make sure that seawalls and especially the intercoastal is protected. Trash issues, wildlife. Who wants to talk about the intercoastal?
Well, the dune restoration report was fabulous, but I think we need one from the other side too. From the intercoastal side. But that's where I believe the flooding will occur first. In the intercoastal.
I had mentioned at the last meeting, and I'd like to follow up on it, possibility of like myself, Alan, doing like ride-alongs with the Marine unit of the police department. I used to do something similar when I was in training for campus police. I would ride around with the police in the cruisers and get to see a better overview of what's going on. I think also this last weekend, I was in a rental boat and going up at the intercoastal, and as Ellen said, you'd be surprised how much you see when you're actually there. So that would probably be nice interaction if we could coordinate something like that, and I'd be willing to volunteer my time for that. And
Make sure
certainly
you go
would-
at high tide, because that's when you see how bad it is. If you go
Yeah.
at low tide, it looks great, but
Right.
Well, low tide, you'll be able to see the seawall.
The erosion, yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah.
Good point.
So I don't know if,
So a couple of things before we look into doing that. So one, I don't know if the town would allow us to use like on patrol time. So that's, you know, while they're out there patrolling to kind of do something like this because they're out there looking for speeders and other things. So you would have to find a time when maybe off duty to use the boat for that. But my big question is, okay, we have photos of every property, like what next? So do we have any information or resources on somebody that can do a similar feasibility study like we did on the beach for seawall properties? That's just a question. I don't know the answer.
I know a marine contractor. Would you like me to ask him who they do to view? Because he said to me not too long ago, you guys hear me? He said to me not too long ago that people would be shocked if they saw what their seawalls look like from a boat. They sit in their backyard
Mm.
and it looks perfect. But he said the erosion is crazy. So I can ask him if anybody does that, or we can get a company. I don't know, but I can ask.
Yeah, that would be great. I mean, I know I'm in the process of redoing my dock right now. We just did our seawall not that long ago, but the educational aspect of this, I know there's a property at the end of my canal that was asked to raise their seawall like 3 feet. But the problem, and I'm sure you're aware of that, is you raise your seawall, the water's just gonna go right around. So if your
Yeah.
neighbor's seawall is not
He in
raised.
fact came to the meeting for the town, what they wanted to raise the seawalls to 7.0. So he was the expert that came to the town to tell them why that was just like ridiculous.
So maybe instead of us like going out and taking pictures, maybe that's something that he offers as a service,
Well, I can ask.
you know,
I
and
can
say,
ask.
hey, you know, if we gave you a starting point and an end point, could you go ahead and do kind of a feasibility study of Highland Beach's properties? And then obviously we'll have to clear that through the town
Yeah.
manager and all that.
Hold on one second.
Okay.
So the agenda item is about educational outreach. It's not about contracting somebody to do a feasibility study. However, I will bring it to the attention of the town manager. This item, again, it's about educational outreach. You all haven't really discussed this much as far as what are your goals here as far as intercoastal waterway protection. Maybe a little bit more discussion on what your end goal is. I mean, obviously, it's all about education. I've actually been on the marine vessel many, many, many times because we have an ordinance regarding revisions to our accessory marine facility regulations that are in our code. Accessory marines include boat lifts, finger piers, docks, and then we have a separate entity, which are the seawalls. And I could tell you, and I've been out with many of the commissioners, I've been out with every single planning board member, because these were items that went before those two with the board and with the commission. Right, there are a lot of properties that their seawalls are in very bad shape. Some of them are not in compliance with the current code, which is fine. We have a lot of people that are not conforming to the current code, but the minute you want to install a new seawall, you have to comply with our current code, which is if you're on the west side of A1A, our code says that your seawall has to be at base flood elevation or higher. Now, I will tell you, on the west part of A1A, the current base flood elevation is 6 feet. It's pending 7. So those maps come from FEMA, and FEMA will actually be making the current BFE the pending will come into place very shortly. So yeah, there's a lot of seawalls out there that are not in good shape. And so just thinking out loud, if you want to do educational outreach, maybe that is a good focus to provide some sort of photographs or again, just bringing people, bringing awareness to it. But I will say a lot of people, because I deal with those applications, I bring them to the planning board. I think a lot of the residents that are on the waterway are very much aware of how their seawalls look. Maybe there are plenty that don't, but it is very expensive. We've had some properties back out because they're older properties, and if they raise their seawall to the requirement of the code, which is at 6 feet, they lose a lot of their view, which is, the reality. But so yeah, maybe you all need to massage it a little bit, but I'll be happy to talk to the town manager about your desire to do maybe that education about the reality of seawalls in the town and getting those pictures out to residents to maybe, if it's not on maybe it's on their back burner, to put it on their front burner. Maybe that's one way.
When you
to
were
handle that.
going out on the waterways, how was that coordinated?
Well, again, because the town is bringing forward an amendment to our code, the commission decided we're going back 3 years on this project, to move forward with this. It was on a concept level for over 2 years. And the commission gave the direction to the planning board because it's an amendment to the zoning code. So the planning board, in their review of the amendments, they decided, you know what, we want to go out and look at this stuff because we're going to be making a recommendation to the commission. They're an advisory, making the recommendation. So we did actually 2 rounds of tours of the intercoastal waterway as well as the canals and lakes in the town. And then I also did the same with the commissioners because the concepts and the proposed changes also went before the commissioner. So they also wanted to look at what the reality is with the docks and all that. But again, they're looking at an item that they will eventually approve or not approve. So it's a little bit different scenario. But again, I'll be happy to discuss with the town manager and see what his thoughts are. Again, the focus is really educational outreach. I don't know if maybe you all want to have a volunteer look at, what is out there education wise about intercoastal protection. Maybe, as I've said many times, sometimes you don't have to reinvent the wheel. There may be something some agency has out about intercoastal protection. As I said, we do have regulations in our code regarding how high your seawalls have to be, but we're not mandating people to do it. So that's how it is
So
right now.
might I propose we maybe take a step back and educate ourselves first? So,
That's what I was trying to
so Karen,
elaborate.
if that person that you have that we wanted to go do all these things, could they come and talk to us as a board during our next meeting potentially? And let's just kind of give us an educational session on, hey, like, here's the things that we look for. And, because I honestly, even though we've done a project, I'm not an expert, so.
No, neither am I. No, far from
I
it.
think that would be a great idea to have that person come present to this board as an education to ourselves, and also maybe use your case, because you seem to be the only one living actually on the intercoastal, as a case study. What did you do? How bad was it? Who did you hire? What did you have to do?
It's before my time, but
Oh, I see.
What street are you on?
I'm on Russell.
You're on Russell, and you had to redo your
Very
seawall.
close to me.
Yeah, they had to do your
So-
seawall in the back.
So our seawall was done before I moved here, but not too long before I moved here, but now we're redoing our dock and raising our seawall with pavers, but yeah, I know, my neighbors had to raise theirs a little bit. I know there's other people on the canal they I think they're going through permits now to raise theirs. So there's a lot going on in the town regarding it.
Okay, so action item for
She
you.
has a-
I had the other thing is that Alan did a presentation, we mentioned it in the Manager's Monthly. That little clip he did up in Hoboken, which I saw at a lecture he gave. That 3 minutes of Hoboken getting where the flooding came from blew me away. They prepared everything along the seafront in Hoboken to prevent sea rise. And the water came in from the back and caused immense destruction. And I think if we do an educational, which I think would be great. I don't know what you think about that, but I think that would be helpful.
So
for
you're talking about
people.
Hoboken, New Jersey.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
Which
Yeah,
could
I'd
be
love to
Highland
see.
Beach, Florida.
I mean, it's water is water, right? Water does the same
Water,
thing.
yeah.
It knows where to go.
It seeks the lowest
Seats,
point.
yes, it does.
And while we are above sea level considerably in certain areas, other areas maybe not so much. So educating everybody about that. It would be horrible if here we are in natural resources and we have no time spent on, what could happen on the west side.
Is it true that, is it true that Highland Beach is lower than Delray Beach? I believe
Just the
that-
The
beach
sea
No,
at
but
the front, the report that you have in
not
front of
the
you.
beach, but just the sea level. The humidity, I believe, is lower than,
No, I don't
Sea
think so.
level is
I
all the
think
same, but it's the height.
yeah, the height above sea level.
Right.
16 feet, I thought.
Well, somebody said at the beginning of this meeting that we're a foot and a half lower.
Well, what that report says and the presentation at the town commission said that it was a foot and a half lower than Delray. And a foot in our front beach area meeting the water was a foot and a half lower
Lower than Delray.
than Delray or Boca.
Oh,
just like the part
And
that you
both.
walk flat on the beach.
Yeah, but you'll see that in there if you take a
Our-
look
I
and
mean,
if you watch.
Our land is higher than Boca and Delray,
Right,
Our
that's
land.
why we thought.
Okay.
because we're high, that's why it's called Highland
Highland
Beach.
That's why-
good one.
Well, I Googled it and that was, I don't know if you can believe everything. I heard that you can believe everything you read on Google.
Yeah, you're right. And I have a bridge to tell you.
Great, so we have action items regarding that, discussion on intercoastal waterway. You'll
Yes.
reach out to the expert.
Yes, I will.
And then you could email Town Planner Alan,
Yeah.
and she could inform us about hopefully having that scheduled for the coming meeting, the next
Okay.
meeting. Because we obviously want to protect the intercoastal as much as we do the dunes on the other side.
I'm
So conscious of time, anything else on this?
September the 26th, I'm giving a similar talk in the Boca Library.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Keith,
Which
you're
library?
Oh, nice. In the evening?
yeah, 6 p.m. I think.
Boca, which library?
Boca, we're talking.
But they have multiple libraries. Is it
The one on Spanish River?
No,
No.
the main one, in, by the police station.
Oh, on Federal Highway, off Federal Highway? No.
I don't know, I have to find out.
Oh,
It's
okay.
on second
Yes.
Ave.
On
Second,
second?
Yeah, near the police station.
Yeah, just before you hit Palmetto Park.
And what day was that, Alan?
September 26th.
Do you mind sharing the invitation with this board through Mrs. Allen?
I don't mind.
That'd be great. I would love to come because I wasn't here for the last presentation. Fantastic. So let's move to the next agenda item, 8D, board members updates. Who wants to start with quick updates? Given it's 12:34, I would suggest we keep it very brief.
Is everybody noticing not so many turtle nests this year?
Yes. And I noticed a lot of them are dying. A lot of them are coming out and dying.
So I'll give a
My
turtle,
dog passed them in his mouth.
I'll give a turtle update, in my updates. And I have an answer to that as well. Well, it's very quick. Any updates? I can quickly run through my list. Beach raking, all I can say is I keep calling the beach rakers. They're in violation a lot. That's all I can say, but to anybody else, call the town's code enforcement officer, Adam Otovsky, and he will take care of it. So far, not very successful when they
About
leave.
beach breakers, wait, I don't understand. Why are you calling them?
No, I basically call them when I see the tracks and I see big stuff there that they don't remove. I
That they don't
I
remove.
cannot even drag it with my own hands, and I'm pretty
Yeah,
strong.
they don't get off.
It's
and pick
their
it up.
job
Yeah,
to pick
is.
it up.
You're right.
And they are just digging the trash into the sand. It's an old issue that we've been discussing in this advisory board for the past probably 10 years. And so all we can do as residents is complain, call them, call code enforcement.
No, I'm sorry. If I can correct, it's not code enforcement. It's FDP. FDP gives them the permit. So if you have any issues with the beach rakers, you should please call the beach raking companies directly or FDP who provides the permit. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I said it wrong then, because
Yeah,
I
that's okay.
call
No
the
worries.
companies. I do call the companies. I never called code enforcement. So, but it's the FDP, the permit. Okay, so, but that's just something, it's unfortunately still happening. It has gotten better with the tire rods in the turtle season, but it's still not great. Leaf blowers, all I can inform, this is not a topic of this board. I know multiple people are talking about in the town. I will do a public comment on October 1st to the town. It's been discussed the last time on January 3rd, 2023. It has not been discussed since then. And I like to see it back on the agenda. And I welcome everybody to join me on October 1st. I don't know the time. I think it's 1:30. I'll be making a public comment and I'll be sharing the latest science on leaf blowers with the town. And the last thing I wanted to mention is the A1A. Again, this is not part of not part of our duties and not part of our duties, but I was informed that only 24 trees are actually being relocated and only 6 are being removed. I will further look into this personally as a resident, because I'm not happy with what I see, what's going on with removing shrubs, green space, and asphalting over. But this is more something I do as a resident, and it's not something that we can discuss here. But that's something each individual resident can do.
24 trees, you said? Looks like a lot more are to be saved than 24.
Yeah.
No, relocated. They're being relocated.
Okay.
Yeah.
When this, the transportation group came and presented the first time, not the summer meeting when no one was here, but the first time they did it in the early spring, I think. The Don Peters and Judy Goldberg joined the commission. They walked and they took out 20, I think it was 24 or 30 trees out of that were going to be destroyed, but because they requested a walkthrough, they saved those trees. And then there were going to be some greenery that needed to be replanted because the dictates for the width and the height of the road are something that we as a town have no influence.
So the issue we're having is,
Came up.
sorry to interrupt, is we as this board cannot discuss this. I'm just mentioning as an update that we should individually work on this if we want to as
Okay.
residents, but I'll do it on my own. But we cannot discuss this here. This is not our task. Which I think brings me to if nobody has any other board member updates other than the turtles, which I quickly will do right now, would bring us to the power and duties. Before I come to the power and duties, if everybody agrees, I'll quickly give you a turtle update because Joanne Ryan could not be here. They had a very successful movie night on July 30. I did share a wonderful picture with Town Planner Alan that hopefully we can put on our website, maybe. On the Nature
I'm sorry, what did
Preservation
you
Board.
send that? I didn't see it.
Oh, I sent it today, don't worry.
Oh, today.
I
Okay, got
sent it
yeah.
today because I thought it would be nice to present it in the video, but I'm sorry, I know you're busy, you probably oversaw it. It's an incredible journey, a turtle journey. It was a beautiful movie. We could redo that event. Maybe in November or December, the turtle team would be willing to redo that event. So that would be one thing that maybe Town Planner Alan could be discussing with Joanne Ryan. it was a real success, even though it was in the midst of summer. End of August hatch outs were around July. Mid-July nest dates. So the season started early. So that basically my understanding is that these little crawls happened early, which means it's hot and then they die. And that's why your dog is eating them.
Yes.
So it's a very early season. All zones had the last crawls end of August, roughly. The final hatches are expected mid-October, so everything is early this year. The nests have been incubating at 50 days, which is good. So everything looks good. Everything is reported as always. That's just a really high-level summary here. There is a party to say thank you to the team because they're really working hard. I see them every morning, literally 6 a.m. doing their work. They're unpaid. We cannot be grateful enough to the team to do this. There is a party organized in January and February just for the volunteers and their partners. And they're sharing a table with us at the event in December that we talked about. So that will be everything from my updates. Any other updates to share?
I work with a group called the Coastal Stewards. The Coastal Stewards, they run Gumbo Limbo and they do a lot of other organization along the coast, mainly with manatees and sea turtles. So maybe we'll invite one of them someday to talk about what they do to save the environment. Coastal Stewards.
Well, I don't know if you know the story of Gumbo Limbo, but I remain silent on that issue. There's a lot of turbulences around what happened in the last couple of years.
I know, but they run it now. They took it over.
And don't they work with schools and students? Yeah,
Absolutely, yeah.
It's an educational focus.
I mean, the old team was fantastic and got thrown out and they took over and there was a lot of turbulences around that, so.
I study turbulence, yeah.
Shall we move to 9, new business? Time is moving fast. Discussion of future board agendas. So basically, I would propose to discuss the duties, powers and duties of this nature board. This is not meant to be discussed today. This is just a draft that I made as a basis for discussion. And basically the idea was, I got a little frustrated with a lot of topics. A1A, green space, Milani Park, parking lot in dunes, leaf blowers driving me crazy every day, beach rakers driving me crazy every day, all topics that are not covered under the powers and duties. And I'm not suggesting the town has to give us those powers and duties. I just thought our powers and duties are very narrowly defined. In Wellfleet, Massachusetts, where we have a little summer place, the advisory board has much wider duties. They actually control all the permits. I'm not suggesting we're doing this, but there is from what we're doing to what other towns are doing in the north, and they're equally small like us. There's a huge range. I've done my research and I tried to compile it with my kind of legal brain, what could make sense for Highland Beach. And I came up with this. It still is an advisory role. It's a promotion role, advice, advocate, monitoring, collaborating, expert advice, representing the town, educating the residents. It's not a commission's taking over from their duties. It's more activities that we're doing now, a broader range. And I made a draft, and my recommendation would be to put this on the next agenda for the next meeting, schedule time that everybody can read it and review it. We have amazing brain power here, and put this on the agenda for the next meeting that we have. Or we could actually call for a special meeting to discuss this, because it might take a little longer than just 10 minutes.
This is permitting people that live in condominiums to charge their cars. It's in the Florida statutes. And surprisingly, with the Republican Congress and party, there's an encouraging residents in Florida to drive electric cars to protect the environment. But apparently none of the board members of the condos know about this. And when you mention it to them, they get very upset. So many of the condos are against providing electricity for charging the cars or making any kind of setup.
This is a new topic. It's actually state law and it's mandatory. It's mandatory, so the board cannot refuse to do electric car charging stations.
Not charging station, just that the board, that the condos will allow charging in their parking on their property. Because all it takes is a plug. You don't need any special
State law
charging.
requires it. So the state law, and I'm no expert on it, but I have looked at this once. The state law is that they have to allow you to do it. If you're a resident, you have an electric car, you can bring it into your complex and put it in for your car, but it's going to be at your expense.
Yes.
But the condos will not agree to that.
No, they have
But
to.
it's state law.
They have to by law.
And that's all-
Will not agree
Yeah.
to that.
This is about the powers and duties, though. This
Yeah.
is,
Yeah, so we're
Effective.
talking about
yeah.
Okay, okay.
This discussion about the
Yeah.
car charger, it's really outside the duties unless the commission again gives you direction. I think if any board member here is concerned about the topic you're talking about, at this point, I would suggest you go to a commission meeting and under public comment, state this concern of yours. But for the board to talk about charging, it's just,
No,
It's-
it's
yeah,
not.
it's not-
I
it's not
agree
the
with
item,
Mrs.
yeah.
Allen. It's not a topic.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you, but we're really running out of time. I should have been left, I should have left 15 minutes ago. I'm sorry. So basically, it's not part of this discussion. It's also not on the agenda. And by the way, before you do a public comment, I would educate yourself, research state law.
I did. I've read it.
Because it's the law. I've actually done it in my own condo. So I'm charging my electric vehicle
Good, me too.
that way. And
too.
so I had to pay for it. It was $7,000 for the install. And that's all I can say. We had to upgrade our electrics. So basically,
So the this board
it's
does
the
not
law.
disagree.
But educate yourself.
No,
The
I've
issue.
done- I've done extensive.
The
research.
issue that everybody will come up with is more on the side of the town that you have extensive permits and a lot of electric work that's needed. Anyway, so we come back to the duties of this board. Would you like to do an extra meeting, a special meeting just for this topic? Or do you agree that we should talk about that? Or do you think, no, you're not concerned and we should just leave it as it is?
I'd like to see the original before you revise it.
The original is
it's
in
on
the,
page 14 of your packet.
I would
Oh.
suggest we take it home and then if we have any revisions or changes to send them to Salen
sorry.
instead of.
I would say if maybe you want to put it on your next agenda, because there could be a lot of comments and this should be a discussion that you're all having in person, not really through email, because it could get a bit cumbersome. It's not like a one-page flyer that you want to email. That's fine. This is something, again, the board should be discussing in
Yeah,
person and then,
excellent.
it may take a few meetings to massage it, but it may be worthwhile to do it in person.
So do we decide, can I make a motion to put on the future board agenda, the revised passage duties of Highland Beach Nature Preservation Advisory Board powers and duties?
Support.
Do I have a second? I made the motion. Second, great. Thank you so much. Motion carries.
Thank you for doing.
Yeah, thank you.
But it's just a draft, based on literally northeast and northwest. So I've done research and this is kind of best practice according to what I thought for our town, obviously.
So we agreed that we can all look at this and then set a separate meeting to.
No, we will discuss it in the next meeting.
Next
The
meeting,
Next
okay.
meeting, yep.
Okay.
It's nothing urgent.
Okay.
And then we have announcements. September 17, 1:30 PM Town Commission meeting. September 18, 5 p.m., Town Commission second public hearing budget meeting. Adjournment. This meeting is adjourned at 12:50 on the dot.